Chapter 13. Shared Sparks. The hum of connection filled the evening air, weaving between whispered thoughts and quiet confessions as Mina and Lucas fell deeper into each other's world. It was as if, in finding one another, they'd found something essential, a spark that had always been there, waiting to ignite. Since their first kiss, everything had changed. What was once a quiet intrigue had become an unspoken understanding. Lucas felt it in every word he exchanged with Mina, every fleeting glance, every thought they shared in the silence of their newfound connection. Their world had shifted, and with it, Lucas found himself revealing parts of himself that he'd never dared to show anyone. Tonight they were in the park again, nestled on the same bench where they'd spent hours simply talking and listening to each other's quiet breaths, the rhythm of two hearts finally beating in sync. Lucas had been talking to Mina about his powers, telepathy, telekinesis, the odd vibrations that had begun to surface when his emotions ran high. And for the first time, he told her how it felt to be him, to live in a world of sounds and thoughts that often weren't his own. She listened, her eyes bright, nodding along with understanding as her fingers gently intertwined with his. When he finished, there was a pause. Mina looked down for a moment, then let out a small laugh, though there was a touch of tension in it. "Well," she said, looking up with a shy smile, "I suppose it's my turn, though mine's not exactly a secret." Lucas's face softened with a knowing smile. "You mean the super speed, the agility, and the way you can practically teleport?" He chuckled, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. "Everyone knew, Mina." She raised an eyebrow, a bit surprised. "Really? Was it that obvious?" Lucas laughed. "Let's just say you left an impression doing it. But what I didn't know," he continued, his voice lowering to a more intimate tone, "is how strong you really are. It's incredible, Mina. More than just the speed and agility. It's like there's something deeper." Mina felt a surge of warmth at his words, a sense of pride she rarely allowed herself. She looked at him, and in that moment she felt the weight of her secrets and her strengths lifted, shared with someone who truly saw her. She took a breath, deciding to tell him everything. About her father's expectations, the weight of her public life, and how that power, even though it made her strong, sometimes felt like a cage. For the first time, she admitted how lonely it had been. As she spoke, Lucas reached out, brushing her cheek with the back of his hand. "You don't have to be alone in this anymore," he whispered, his voice full of quiet determination. And in that instant, Mina felt a soft pressure in her mind, a gentle, warm presence. She recognized it at once. It was Lucas. "Can you hear me?" he thought, his voice threading through her thoughts, carrying warmth and understanding that wrapped around her like a protective shield. Mina's eyes widened, her thoughts replying instinctively. "Yes, I can feel you, Lucas." She laughed softly, amazed. The sensation was different from anything she'd felt, a meeting of minds, emotions, and thoughts all at once. And as the evening wore on, they shared even more, not needing words to communicate their deepest feelings and memories. It was intoxicating, the way they couldn't stop. Even when they tried to pull away, they'd find themselves drifting back, exploring each other's minds like two souls, rediscovering each other with every thought and sound. Hours passed in a blur of laughter, silence, and a communion that felt ancient, as if they'd known each other long before they'd ever met. Finally, as the stars glowed softly above, Lucas looked into her eyes, the weight of his feelings reflected in his gaze. He held her hand tightly, as if grounding himself, and with a slight, nervous smile, he whispered, "Mina, I think I'm falling for you." The words hung in the air, charged with a fierce honesty. Mina felt a surge of emotion rise within her, and she squeezed his hand, her voice steady but full of feeling as she replied, "Lucas, I think I already have." They leaned in, meeting in a kiss that was more than a kiss. A merging of souls in the quiet night, filling the air with the faint hum of magic and electricity that seemed to crackle around them. Their surroundings blurred, and all that mattered was the warmth between them, the promise that felt as vast as the night sky itself. For the first time, they felt whole, connected, as if their powers and emotions had fused in a way that was as natural as breathing. When they finally pulled apart, they stayed close, foreheads touching, basking in the quiet wonder of it all. They walked back together, hand in hand, their bond now an unbreakable current that pulsed with every heartbeat. Yet, as they walked, Lucas sensed something strange in the air. A faint rumble of thunder in the distance, clouds gathering ominously above. The air felt heavy, tinged with the faint scent of ozone, a storm brewing on the horizon. But he pushed the feeling aside, choosing to revel in the warmth beside him. Tonight, he'd allow himself this happiness, ignoring the dark clouds gathering overhead, convinced that nothing could touch the quiet joy they'd found in each other.